Welcome back, everybody. Sorry it's been a long time between videos, but I kept forgetting the GoPro at my house, and we've been over here a few times just doing little things here and there, trying not to go out too much with this whole virus going around and all that. Been doing a lot of things out at my property, a lot of things that need to be done, and tree trimming, and we had a big snowstorm and had to get rid of a lot of branches. But I did remember the GoPro today, so show you what we have done so far. As far as mock-up, we do have the mock block in here, the one that was underneath the back of the car. I'm trying to get it mocked up, see how the manifolds are gonna fit, and I ended up picking these up the other day just in case. They were 20 bucks from a guy in Fort Collins, but picked those up. Those didn't even work to fit past our steering box and all that, and power steering, and then they wouldn't fit on that side either. So we ended up going a little higher with the motor. We are going to have to pull everything back out. We do not have our SFI shield up here on the transmission. We did forget to put that on while we were checking clearances, but roughly that's about where the engine's going to sit. It might sit a little higher strictly because of the power steering here and lines that we need to get on. We were thinking about going forward, but that's just going to put it even closer to the manifold, and we can't go any further back because it'll hit the steering column. So we do have to, today I believe we're going to try and get some of this cross member cut up. These old Mopars, they have your rear steering link underneath the transmission, and it does not fit underneath that oil pan. No matter how far forward you go, no matter how far backwards you go, unless we put the front of this engine right here to where it drops in front of it, which you're gonna have way too much weight over the nose at that point. So today we're gonna pull this motor out. We're probably gonna hang the transmission right where it's at and start cutting some of this up, along with the motor mount. This motor mount stock brackets are right here, and it's touching the motor, as you can see. So we might even have to cut these out and make our own brackets coming off the frame. That side over there is not touching, and the engine is centered, as you can see here. So that side we might be able to leave. This side we're probably gonna have to cut out. I do have to get online, see which oil pan I am gonna order, so I can see how wide I need to cut this cross member up. The transmission, let's pop under here, is probably going to be the easiest to modify. Sorry, let me get my screen back on so I can see. So don't pay attention to our random stuff here. We have just some excess metal put through there to hold it up. But our transmission is going to be the easiest thing to mock up. It mounts right there, cross member, and we do have clearance through everything there. So everything down here is looking pretty good. We're gonna put the steering back together today. We were trying to see what we could do as far as maybe getting a different steering bar, but that gets into a lot of geometry, and I don't want to have any kind of second guessing going on when I'm doing 100 some miles an hour down the track. I don't want the steering to get funky. So we do have, oh, like I said before, so we'll show you this here. We were planning on doing that screen inside the ashtray, but the actual framing of this is kind of, it's built in there quite a bit. So instead of putting the screen here, we're just going to put the nitrous activation switch in there, kind of tuck it away, and then we'll do our purge button right here next to it. So at least we have some use of this. And then we're going to do exactly what I didn't want to do, because we are running out of time. We have 61 days. I am going to put the screen right here for the Holley Terminator X. That way I do have a heads-up display. But all that'll get changed down the road, get more set to where I like it. And for today, we'll get some progress going on the engine. We have a lot of cutting, and I wish we had a plasma torch or even a torch, but we'll get to this today, and we'll be back here in a second. All right, everybody. We did pull the engine. We got it out of the way. Did find an oil pan that for a front sump setup. And we took some measurements and we got, if you can see here on the camera, we got it marked out, and this is with extra room too. So from center line, we can leave this mount. It has got plenty of room there. This mount, on the other hand, because the new one we're getting, the oil filter is going to sit right here. So we're going to have to cut this out, box this little piece here. And I did find a bunch of forums online about doing LSs into Mopars, and some people were cutting like all the way past this line from side to side. So the oil pan we found is going to fit in this little 9-inch box here. So we'll just be cutting this little piece out today. We'll get this motor mount cut out. We're gonna have to build the driver's side motor mount. We're gonna try and keep the mounts that we have here, so we have some rubber isolators in them. But we'll get to that here real quick, and we'll probably do a time lapse on it. So we'll see you in a sec. All right, there's the time lapse for you. I'm gonna try and get used to adding some music to some things so it's not so boring watching the time lapse. I can see on my YouTube channel that a lot of you guys click off at that point. So try and get some things done here and get some music added. But what we got here so far is we got the cross member cut up and the motor mount of this side taken out. So you can see on the back there, it's grind down pretty good. I did have this come out on me a little bit, so I'm just gonna have to do a little weld right there just to seam that back up right there. Box this in. I do have an oil pan coming this coming week, so once we get that in, we'll mock it up on this engine here, throw it in there, make sure we have all the clearances and we have enough clearance. The oil filter is a GTO styled oil pan, and the oil filter is going to sit in this location, so we might end up notching a little bit more out on this side, but I don't want to do any more cutting on my cross member until everything gets in, and I'm not going to box it in either until then. We did end up taking the transmission down off the cross member back there because it was getting in my way cutting. As you can see with the time-lapse video, it was kind of a pain in the butt to get some of those angles in there with it being this low on the ground. We've got some other things we can get done today. I think we're going to try and get the screen mounted up on the dash. Oh, what happened to my horn button? Where'd that go? Huh, anyway, we'll have to find that. But yeah, we'll go through. We made a list over here. Basically, the list entails build the entire car, is what it says. So that's about what we got left. You know, just a few things like a roll cage, build the axle, fabricate the front end, put the real engine in, coolant lines, transmission cooler lines, mount the transmission cooler, mount the puke tank, fuel lines, mount the nitrous stuff over there, fuel pump, fuel filter. Yeah, so we'll be back here in a second and see what else we can get done today. All right, so this is the last part of the video for the day, for this week's update, sorry. We got the nitrous proton little dual solenoid box deal here, mounted to the fender well where we like it. We ended up routing the nitrous line tucked up under the well there, and you can kind of see it back there leading back to the trunk. We got that done. As you saw earlier, we got that done. We ended up, these zip ties are temporary, but we did get new electrical tape on the 5 wires that are controlling headlights, blinkers, high beams, and all that stuff for there, and then just kind of routed it up there. That's just hanging. We got that. We did drill a new hole for the puke tank right here. We did mount it lower. That way we can just reach under the bumper and we'll be able to open up the petcock to drain any kind of residual out of there. Moved this over a little bit closer to the edge of the radiator here. We're just gonna get some P-clip mounts and mount it self-tappers right here off these two, and then the lines down here will be ran just outside the radiator here, and then they'll follow the nitrous lines and the fuel line back into this area. What else did we get done? We got the steering hooked back up. We got the, this is not pretty, but since we got such little time for race week here, we ended up attaching the Terminator X screen to the dash. I know, it's ghetto. We got self-tappers in there. I didn't want to mess up the actual metal framing of the dash, so we went straight to the inner dash, whatever you want to call this here. And I got another one of those, and I plan on making a complete new one with my father-in-law's help. It'll have, you know, all the newer gauges, newer style. It'll have the GPS speedometer, all that good stuff. Slipped while drilling, and actually turned out to be, or slipped while putting a bit into the drill, and put a hole in the dash. But fortunately, it now is a carrier for the pen for my Terminator X. So we got the wiring, ran right over the steering wheel, and then up into over here, and it's just kind of loomed up. We are probably later today going to go to Home Depot. We might add the rest of this video here in a sec on mounting the ECU in here. We're going to get little rubber isolators to kind of keep some vibration out of the ECU, because it isn't getting mounted just here to the side of the firewall or the kick panel. But other than that, we did find that there is no wires coming up here at the moment. They've been hacked out for the horn, so we're going to run new wires for the horn. And that's about it for this quick update. But we're going to run to Home Depot, get the rest of this little stuff here, and then probably call it a day. We do have our list going. I'll show you here. We did get reconnect steering, mountain route, nitrous express solenoids lines, rig up puke tank. We got to get the hose for the puke tank. A lot of this stuff being rear axle build. This is all take place out of my shop. And roll cage, we'll see if we make that before race week. This car does need a roll cage to be at 1150. You have to have a cage in this year car, so to get it certified. Can't run faster than 1150. So with the nitrous that we're running, with the power that the motor itself, with the cam and pistons that we got, probably going to be sitting really close to that 12.0 range just on motor. Might have to pull a little bit of power out of it as far as timing, but as far as running nitrous this year, may or may not do it. May have to do a couple pulls in Mexico with a 200 shot just to see what she does, but until then, yeah.